you're the first one actually in my showcase interview.
Oh,
So
right.
thank you for being my guinea pig.
My pleasure.
I've got a few questions to ask you, Margaret, and then we'll have a chance to chat at the end. So we'll see how it goes. So
Okay,
my
that's fine.
first question for you is, how long have you been in business, and what inspired you to start it?
Right. So officially, I've been in business since April, where are we 23, 22.
2023 now.
Yeah. So I've done one tax return. So that means April 21 officially registered the business.
Yeah.
But I'd been developing things prior to that for about a year, 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in terms of what inspired me to get going, if I'm honest, it was, apart from the obvious reason of wanting to try and make some money, it was about sharing the passion that I have for glass with other people, because prior to actually coming across fused glass art as a thing, as far as I was concerned, I wasn't remotely creative. That just wasn't my skill set. And I can still remember walking into that shop where the first course was being held and just seeing this absolute rainbow of colours around me. And it was almost jaw-dropping. I suddenly thought, hang on, this is what I've been looking for, and this is what's been missing. And since then I've just been completely addicted to glass, and I love it. I could spend 24/7 doing it, and I want to share that joy with other people.
So for anybody who's watching this then, or listening to this, what would you say your business is?
My business is creating glass art and gifts. It's fused glass, which is kind of in the middle of blown glass, which a lot of people know about, and stained glass, which people see in places like churches. And this is kind of a hybrid that doesn't need a furnace, thankfully, but uses a kiln, a little bit like a pottery kiln, to fuse coloured glass together. And I can take advantage of that, cut glass up, and then bring in the creative design to create something completely unique and new.
So you're kind of making pictures often, aren't you?
Some of it is pictures, yes. I do things like pet portraits, where I'll recreate an image of a cat or a dog, for example. But I also do jewelry, so things like pendants, earrings, and so forth. Anything where I can show off the colours and the shapes.
So where do you sell your stuff then? Is it commission based? Do people place orders? Do you have craft stalls? How do people go about getting your work?
Right. Currently, everything I do is online. So I started off by using Facebook to get known, and did a number of events over the first couple of years, because when I actually started trying to sell things, we were in lockdown, so that was the only way. I now have a website, and I'm probably best known through Facebook. I'm gradually getting myself onto other social media, but Facebook's the easiest way to get hold of me, direct messaging and so forth, and all my links are on the Facebook page.
So so if I don't know, say I wanted a portrait of my dog, then how would I go about getting, what's the process?
What's the process? Basically message me to say, look, I'm interested in perhaps doing this, how do I go about it? And I'd then ask for more information about your pet, because the more I know about the character of the animal, the better I can represent it. Mm-hmm. I'd ask for photos, and then once I've got an idea of the complexity, I can then give a quotation based on size of the piece and how long I think it will take. Some animals are a lot easier than others, and ironically, some of the most challenging are those animals that are just black and white, for example, because they can look quite flat initially. And I've started using paints recently to be able to build up more of a 3D image. So fundamentally, I see the picture, I can then provide a quote and an indication of how long it will take. And then there's the decision of, do you go ahead or not?
Okay, so when you're talking about sizes, what sort of sizes do you start at then? Are they like tiny? Are they big? What?
Realistically, it's easier to work on something that's a bit bigger, but I am restricted by the size of the glass that I use as the source material, and also the size of my kiln. So the maximum size I can do in my kiln is about 36 centimeters square.
What's that? About A4?
Bit big,
A4, A4's
probably
30 by 21, isn't it? So slightly
yeah,
bigger than
so
A4.
a little bit bigger.
So that's a large, that would be classed as large, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The glass actually comes in single sheets that are about 30 by 20. If I want to do something bigger than that, I can do it, but I have to fuse the glass sheets together, so it gets a little more complicated.
Yeah, so if somebody was interested, it would kind of, you're talking.
Yeah, A4 is perfect, pretty much.
Okay. So what's your favourite thing about your work then?
If I'm honest,
I don't want you to be dishonest.
I never would be. It's the variety. There's always something new to try or a different technique to try. And I have a fairly low boredom threshold. And one of the things I realized with glass quite early on was I'm never going to be bored, because there's always something different you can do. And even sometimes when you're doing something fairly similar, the results can come out a little bit different to what you expect. So there's always that excitement.
So every single piece that you create is different. You're not, there's
each
no
one is
there's
unique.
no kind of factory line where you reproduce the same thing over and over.
No. I mean, if you're making things for shops, there's a certain element of factory line production because you're creating similar things over and over again, but they're never totally identical.
So they're all sort of hand created, handcrafted, individual items, individual pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
So do you sell your work through shops?
Not yet. It's on my list of things to get up and running, but currently it's online and via the website.
Yeah, so it's direct through you at the moment. That's okay. So then, what's your least favorite thing about your work?
The business admin that has to run alongside it. So,
the boring stuff.
Yes, I mean, glass started off as a hobby for me, and then when I started to get serious about it and saw the opportunities to run it as a business, initially I was pretty naive and thought, great, I can get to do glass on a daily basis, and just thought, there'll be some business stuff alongside it. I didn't realize all the components that have to be incorporated. But I mean, that's been it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been interesting. I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, realistically.
Yeah, me too.
And yes, there's some stuff where you think, oh, have I really got to do that? But most of the time it's been fascinating to find out new things and think, oh, okay, if I'm doing this, then I've got to find out about X, Y, and Z.
So that, I think for most of us who are in the creative sort of area of work, that's the bit, isn't it? It's that kind of oh, really, I have to keep receipts and keep track on numbers, and I have to keep records of things, and I have to do it. It's kind of all that stuff, the stuff that's like, oh,
Yeah.
I know for ages that's what I was, and it was kind of like, but I've got into a rhythm now, so it's like part of what I do. So it's kind of, it's just it was like I used to leave my stuff for like, oh yeah, I'd have a carrier
Yeah.
bag full of receipts, and then it'd be like at the end of the year, like sorting out through a year's worth of receipts.
Mm.
It was before everything was online, it was kind of like all this bloody stuff, and it's like, oh. But yeah, no, I don't think you'd be on your own. Some people really like that kind of work, though, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And
That's when
thankfully.
that's when it gets to like, oh, let's just outsource all the stuff that we don't like doing. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So if you were, what do you wish you knew now? What do you wish you knew when you first started in business? What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started in business?
I think the big thing that was unexpected was the fact that there are so many people out there, sort of solo business owners, who are willing to be so generous with their time and their advice and their support. We're all working in our own business, but I've got to know a fantastic number of people who've become friends, and they've helped, not necessarily because they're getting paid for it, but because they've been where I am, and it's if I can help someone move forward, then why not? You pay it forward. And that was a completely unexpected benefit. And I know, I'd been thinking about starting up the business for quite some time, and it was not a easy decision to make. But if I knew back then what I know now, I think I'd have had the confidence to actually start it earlier and sooner.
Oh, that's interesting. So if you just started it earlier, then where do you think you'd be now, or where do you see yourself being in, a few years' time then, Margaret? What plans have you got for your business?
I'd certainly have made more progress in terms of the, if you like, my sort of star products are, because I've got some directions I want to go in, but I haven't quite narrowed that down yet. I'd have had a lot more confidence sooner, and I think I'd just be several steps ahead of where I am, but with a more established clientele. I'd have developed my reputation for high-end, good glass art, and hopefully have people contacting me for commissions on a regular basis, so much that I wouldn't have any concern about where the next order was coming from. Things are much better now than when I started, but yes, there's a path to tread. But,
So you'll be in flow. Excellent. So obviously you're part of the FAB community. What was it about the FAB Business Club that inspired you to join? What was the thing that made you think, that sounds interesting, I
think the fact that it came across as different from the business networks that I'd come across at that point. There are some types out there that are very, I suppose, classic business style. And having escaped the corporate environment, I wanted to not get sucked back into that. But at the same time, I knew I needed support, encouragement, and people who got it, who, if you were having a bad day, you could turn around and say, look, everything isn't working out as it should. What the heck do I do now? And know that there wasn't going to be any comeback. So yeah, basically was a group of like-minded people who you could have fun with. It didn't have to be serious all the time, but you knew they'd got you back when you needed them to. So it's what I think over a year down the road.
Yeah, a year and a bit.
Yeah. Still loving every meeting. So yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Good community.
So what would you say is your favorite thing then? Your favorite, if you had to choose like one element of the membership, what would be the thing you value the most?
The supportive nature of the group.
Yeah, and that's a question that seems to be the answer. Anybody I ask, that seems to be the answer, that I think we've got something quite different, quite unique to many other sort of communities that are, sort of in that business world. So yeah. So would you recommend the business club to other people who were like yourself?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Good a worthwhile investment.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll give you your tenner later.
Yeah. Fresh off the printing press.
So in terms of your business then, Margaret, you see yourself sort of carrying on for indefinitely? It's not going anywhere anytime soon?
I think even if I wasn't able to make money from it, I would still need to create. I mean, God forbid, there may come a time when I'm not physically able to do it, but until then, you can guarantee I'm still going to be doing glass.
Lovely. And what is your website address for people if they want to get in touch?
It is www.jumaka and that's JUMAKA glass, all one word, .co.uk.
Lovely. Thank you very much for spending time with me today, and I will see you in the group again soon.
You certainly will, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.